Okay, Jorge, this is my students from a class that's called From Beginning Photographer to Exhibiting Artist.
Nice to meet everyone.
They, just a few weeks ago, started this semester. It's a 12-week class. In week number 11, after theoretically starting at nothing, they're going to have their own show here at the gallery.
Ooh, wonderful.
Where there's going to be more people than you attracted.
Wow. Great. I'm sure you will. That's terrific.
And your work that we're standing in front of here is truly powerful. I mean, I think many of us may have a feeling that, oh, gee, how do you get an eye like that? How do you catch this kind of action, et cetera, et cetera? Maybe you just want to tell us about the work and what you've done here.
Sure. So basically, this particular kind of work, what I like to do is spend time with my subject. I still do film, so this is all film darkroom work that I've developed myself. And this kind of work, what I find is, and what film allows me to do with this kind of work, is really to take my time with the subject. So what I've done in many of these cases is really, before just even taking the picture, I've introduced myself, talked and gotten to know them. It's also a little easier for me because I was born in Cuba. So being there just gives me, and having been born there allows me an entry point, which is really important when you define your subject and you go after a body of work like this. So I do other kind of work that doesn't require that, but this, in my opinion, I think what completes it is that relationship with my subject, and each one of these has a story that I actually wrote, whether it was part of the discussion I had with the subject or something that they reminded me about my childhood, for example. So that's how I, if they feel emotional, it's because it comes from that premise.
Cool. Exactly. So it's personal.
Yes, very personal.
And that's something that I actually was sort of reaching with them about their own work, is that they need to be very personal. Would you agree that that's a...
I would agree. I mean, a good way to evolve body of works, I think, is, look for things that are personal to you, right? So, it could be anything. I mean, it could be, you may have a passion for cars or sports or anything like that, and then look for a story within that. It's a good place to start evolving a body of work. I do also some work on nature photography, not literal, but kind of representative and so forth. And again, you spend a lot of time with your subject, get to know your subject, and find things that you love, and start to photograph them. And then over time, and what I also like to do, which I recommend a lot, is, and I got this advice from a National Geographic photographer, so I can't take credit for it. Sam Abel, look him up. What he does is he has almost like boxes where he would place a few images every year of a particular subject matter or of a body of work that's evolving. What that does is, over time, when you revisit this, now it's already a construct of something. So now you look at it with fresh eyes 1 or 2 years later, and you may now be in a position to add a different perspective to it or allow that work to grow. I think that's something that I've used over time that's helped me out a lot.
Great advice.
How did you come up with the photos that you chose? Like, when you were thinking of your story, because it looks like there's a lot of children, but then elder, yeah.
Yeah, good question. So, that is harder than taking a picture for me. Yeah. So, a couple of things that I can say, not having that skill set of editing, and I'm being very honest here, is leverage people that do. Leverage your classmates, leverage your professor. There are people amongst you that have that talent of being able to put pieces together. This particular body of work is really a total of 95 very specific images, and I broke that out into 3 bodies of work that make up the 95. Here is a subset, so because you only have so much space, so it does look like there's maybe a focus on kids, and then all of a sudden we have some adults, but that's because I took, from a lot and then brought to a little. But there's no simple answer to that. Just what I have found has helped me is leverage the resources around you, like teachers and professors and so forth. That.
I was wondering if you had your own darker.
I do. I do. That's a great question. Probably for maybe about 12, 13 years now, I built one, and I do this darkroom stuff only because I just enjoy the contrast of going from working with technology on an everyday basis, and then doing something different, you know.
So all these prints,
All these prints were, you know, made like with the, yes, you know, if anybody's working dark and understands what I mean. You know,
Fabulous. All right,
Thank you.
I think we got it.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so
Good
much.
luck to you all, and thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. Good luck. Thank you. I'll be back to see your show as well.
What year would these take place?
Between 1997 and 2006.
Gracias.
Thank you.